Hey guys, finishing up the last week of phase 2 remote learning. Granted, I'm pretty sure I said that last week also. We've got class twice this week. So for class today, we don't have a ton of notes. We're gonna go over the last type of digestive system that we're gonna be covering in Animal Science 1, and that's gonna be the poultry digestive system. Birds are weird. It's like my motto. This lesson is part of the reason why I say birds are very weird. We do have an assignment at the end. It's gonna be this Venn diagram kind of deal. And then I am gonna put like a matching quiz. Notice the quotations, a matching quiz on Edmodo. It's gonna be super simple. The esophagus does letter B, transports food from the mouth to the stomach, etc., etc. It's not gonna be really difficult, but I do want to go ahead and let you know that. Moving on to the PowerPoint. Like I said, we're gonna be doing the poultry digestive system, and poultry is considered birds. Chickens, turkeys, ducks, geese, birds right outside of your house. Excuse me. They have a very different digestive system, as you can see from the strange words here. That means that they digest food a little bit differently, or a lot differently, than we as humans or cows or any other animals do. They have a very unique or weird digestive system. Those birds are weird. So they are still considered monogastric animals, meaning they have like a one compartmented stomach. They're not like the cows or ruminant animals where they have different compartments that do different things. They still have one compartment stomach that works on breaking down the food. The thing that makes them different is that they have other organs that do different things. These differences, they make the animals so different that it's taught separately than other monogastric animals like pigs and dogs and humans, because their organs, they eat different food than us, and they digest that food differently than us, which means that even though they're considered monogastric, they're kind of like this little subcategory. Typically the subcategory you'll see is like you have monogastric, which is like the big heading, and then it's going to be broken down into simple stomach, which is what we did last class, cows and pigs and chickens, where it goes mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, anus. Simple. And poultry digestive system. They're both monogastric, but simple stomach and poultry, they're different enough that we have to kind of split them apart. The digestive system for birds, it starts the same, the mouth or the beak. They cannot chew food. Birds with teeth are called dinosaurs, and they are no longer around. So birds, thankfully, don't have any teeth. However, that does mean that they can't chew their food like we can. This is the first difference that we see between a simple stomach animal and a poultry bird. They do still have an esophagus. The esophagus still has the same job of carrying the food from the mouth to its next stop. In poultry, that next stop is going to be the crop. I always think of the crop as kind of like a little pocket where it just gets held before it gets digested. Think about like when you were a kid and you would always like sneak snacks and you put them in your pockets and you would hold them for later. That's kind of what the crop does. The crop takes the food that the bird's eaten, but it stores it until it's time for it to be digested. That's literally its only job. It just holds the food for a little bit. When it is ready to be digested, it goes to the proventriculus. This is the bird's stomach. It has a very different name than stomach. However, the proventriculus, it acts as the stomach. It's considered a true stomach. A true stomach is a stomach or a place where food gets digested or broken down using stomach acid and other digestive enzymes. So the proventriculus, that's where it's going to be adding in those digestive enzymes to help try to break down the food. It's called the true stomach because we as humans, we compare the way animals digest food to us. We say that our stomach is the true stomach because we're humans and that's just what we do. We compare everything to ourselves. So we say that we have the true stomach. And that's because our stomach has those digestive enzymes that break down our food. So when we talk about other animals, we look for what part of their digestive system has those enzymes. What part of their digestive system is adding in those digestive juices to try to break down food. In ruminant animals, so cows and sheep and goats, that's the abomasum. The abomasum in ruminants is the true stomach. They technically have a 4-compartmented stomach, but only one compartment, only the abomasum, has those digestive enzymes. In poultry, the digestive organ that has those enzymes is the proventriculus. So the proventriculus is called the true stomach, literally just because it's the organ that adds digestive enzymes to try to break down the food. It adds those gastric juices that help to break it down into smaller pieces. However, it doesn't really do a whole lot because you got to think about it. Birds don't have teeth. They can't chew their food. That's why we have to give the chickens at school these little bitty crumbles because they can't chew it. So how does their food get broken down? The proventriculus, while it's adding these enzymes and it's breaking it down a little bit, their food is still considered whole, meaning the proventriculus isn't really doing a whole lot in terms of breaking the food down. It's still considered the true stomach because it's still adding those enzymes, but it doesn't really do a whole lot in birds. The main place that digestion occurs in birds is in the gizzard. The gizzard actually, it contains like grit and gravel. So on Moana, where Hey was it Hey? The chicken. Man, I guess I need to watch Moana. Maybe that's what I'll do today. The chicken, he just walks around, he's just like pecking everything except his food. Like literally in one scene, they try to push him some food because he's pecking beside it, and he just turns and starts pecking the ground again. This is something that birds like actually do. Like, this is a normal thing. We kind of thought Hey was silly, but Hey was doing what chickens do. Chickens don't just eat food. They have to eat that grit and gravel, and it makes its way from its mouth to its gizzard. Because its gizzard holds this grit and gravel and is pretty muscular. So the gizzard, when it contracts, it takes all the food that bird's eaten and mixes it with the grit and gravel, with all the little tiny rocks that the bird's eaten. And it just kind of starts grinding it up, breaking it into these even smaller pieces. The gizzard kind of acts as the bird's teeth. Typically, the food will be broken down in a mouth. But because the bird doesn't have teeth, the food isn't getting broken down mechanically. It's not physically getting broken down. It's getting broken down a little bit by the gastric juices, and that's called chemical digestion. Mechanical digestion occurs, though, in the bird's gizzard. It occurs in the bird's gizzard, where the gizzard contracts and it starts grinding up that bird's food. It does have a little bit of digestive juices, not a ton. It's primarily all mechanical digestion, where it's going to contract and it's going to grind it up. It's like if you were to take food and put it in your hand and go like this, and then when you open your hands, you're going to have you're going to have very tiny pieces of food. That's kind of how the gizzard works. It breaks down the food into little tiny pieces because birds, they have to eat things other than food. They have to eat things like little tiny rocks that are going to go sit in their gizzard. So Hey wasn't actually as silly as we all thought. Birds, they do still have a liver. The liver, if you remember from the last lesson, the liver adds bile. And that bile works on breaking down any fat that the bird ate, because it's hard for the stomach to break down bile or to break down fat. it needs that really, really acidic bile to break it down. Once it gets broken down enough from the gizzard, then it's going to start moving to the small and the large intestine, which we talked about that. The small intestine is where absorption happens. It's broken down enough that the small intestine's little papillae or villi, the little fingers, can reach out and grab like, oh, here's a carbohydrate. Oh, here's some protein. There's a little bit of fat. And it's going to start pulling all these little broken down nutrients and sending them throughout the bird's body. By the time it gets to the large intestine, which is going to be right about here, there's not a whole lot left. The large intestine squeezes it, kind of like you're wringing out a rag. It squeezes it and soaks in any kind of moisture. And this is kind of how the animal stays hydrated. It takes out any water and absorbs that, so that all you're left by the time it comes out is going to be feces. Other organs that make the bird's digestive system different is one, the ceca. This is similar to the cecum that we talked about. Animals that eat a whole lot of fiber or a whole lot of like hay and stuff, like horses and rabbits, they have a really big cecum. Because the cecum, that's the cecum's job. It's to break down things that are really high in fiber. Because birds don't eat a whole lot that's high in fiber. They don't really eat a lot of grass. Cecum or the ceca, it's tiny. Doesn't really get used. It's primary. Sometimes you'll see it called a blind pouch, just meaning it's just kind of there. Doesn't really do a whole lot. It's just hanging out. And then when you get to the end of the bird's digestive system, you get to the cloaca. The cloaca is where the bird's digestive system and reproductive tract combine. So this is just the bird's digestive tract, but you would also have organs like the uterus and the oviducts, and it would combine right here to get to the cloaca. This is why we have to wash the chicken's eggs, because the chicken's eggs all come out of the same place. The eggs come out of the same place as the poop and the pee, because the bird's systems, the digestive system and the reproductive system, connect right here at the cloaca so that it all gets pushed out of the vent. Birds don't really have a rectum or an anus, because a rectum or an anus is strictly the place where feces comes out. Because feces, urine, and eggs come out of the same place, it's not really a rectum or an anus. So we call it the vent. That's where solid and liquid waste and eggs come out of the bird's body. We've basically already been over these. The esophagus, its job is to just carry the food from the beak or the mouth to the next stop, In birds, that next stop is the crop. The bird's stomach is the proventriculus. It may not do a whole lot, but the proventriculus is still considered to be the stomach in birds. It's still a place where digestive juices and enzymes and things get deposited to try to break down the food that the bird eats. And then the liver is going to be right along in here. The liver, it's this large brown, gross organ that's right beneath the stomach or the crop. So right along in here is where it's going to be. And its job is to secrete bile, the really, really acidic digestive juice that works on breaking down fat. Once the food's broken down from the gizzard is where mechanical digestion occurs, where the gizzard contracts and starts trying to grind up any food that the bird's eaten, using the little rocks and pebbles and things that it's eaten that sit in its gizzard. Once it leaves the gizzard, it goes to the small intestine, which is ironically the longest part of the bird's digestive system, of any animal's digestive system. The small intestine is this really long tube. It's kind of this like grayish colored digestive organs. Not great to look at. They also kind of smell. It contains partially digested food. So any food that's been broken down into little tiny nutrients between the proventriculus and the gizzard is going to move on to the small intestine. The small intestine is going to work on absorbing these nutrients, the protein and the fat, all those things, and sending it to the animal's body. Once it gets out of the small intestine, it just seamlessly connects from the small intestine to the large intestine. The large intestine, it's larger in diameter, but it's smaller in length. So the large intestine, it's a little bit on the short side, but its job is to squeeze the water out, almost like it's wringing a towel, and soak up any of that liquid. Whatever you have left at that point is going to be feces. It's going to be making its way out of the vent, because birds don't have an anus, because an anus is where feces exits. The feces exits out of the vent because that's also where the urine and the eggs come out. So they don't have an anus per se. They have a vent, and it serves a different purpose, which is again why we have to separate simple stomached animals from birds, because this entire system, it's similar, and they only have one stomach compartment, meaning they're monogastric, but everything else just about is very different when it comes to how birds break down their food and absorb it. So what you guys are gonna do, goodness, it's windy at my house. Okay. So what you guys are gonna do, there is a triple Venn diagram assignment that I'm gonna put up. And I'll go to it because honestly, it'll be probably easier for you to see. This doesn't work great. All right, so I'm just gonna start over here on this side, and we are gonna work our way through. We're gonna start over here with poultry. You'll notice that each circle or part of a circle is color coded. Notice that the color matches up with whatever is written on the outside. So the red circle is for anything involving poultry. The yellow circle is anything involving ruminant animals like cows. And then the blue circle is anything involving simple stomached animals. So pigs or dogs, basically. You're gonna use this circle, and you're gonna use the word bank that's on the next slide. You're gonna use all of these terms, and you're gonna insert little text boxes wherever they belong to figure out what organs these digestive systems have in common. So we'll start with the mouth or the beak. So starting with this one, all animals have a mouth of some kind. In birds, it's a little bit different, but it's still a mouth. So because it's something that birds, cows, and pigs all have in common, I'm gonna take a text box and I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna say mouth or beak. Then it's gonna go right here. And it's probably gonna be a lot easier for you guys if you shrink down the size of the text box. So the mouth or the beak goes right here. And then I'm gonna hit enter in case there's another one that all three of these digestive systems have in common. So moving on to the next one. Teeth. Okay, so cows, they have teeth. Pigs, they have teeth. Birds don't have teeth. So because it's something that cows and pigs have in common, then it's going to end up belonging right here in the green semicircle. Parts on the simple stomach and ruminants that they have in common. So it's something that cows and pigs have in common. I'm going to use my text box. I'm going to say teeth right here. I'm going to shrink down the size of my text box so that everything kind of fits right there. I'm going to hit enter in case there's another one. And then I'm going to move to the next one. the esophagus. Okay, they all have the esophagus. Whoops. Where'd it go? Okay. So because it's something that birds and cows and pigs all have in common, the esophagus goes right here. Let's see. Oh, the omasum. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna keep doing that. The omasum is strictly a part of the ruminant digestive system. So it's gonna go up here. The omasum. The vent. The vent is something that only birds have. So the vent is gonna go right here. I'm gonna shrink down my text box. The stomach, simple. So this is just a one compartmented stomach. And it's simple. So that means it's gonna go right here with the simple stomach. So I'm gonna say stomach, and then in parentheses, simple. I'm gonna shrink that text box down. And y'all are just gonna basically keep doing this until you go all the way through with all of these different organs. Not necessarily every box, I don't think, is going to get filled up. That's okay. You don't have to have every single box filled in, because there's honestly not a lot, if anything, that poultry and ruminants have in common that would end up going right here. So if y'all have any questions, let me know. I am also gonna put up a quiz on Edmodo. It's not for a grade, it's more so just for you guys, but y'all let me know if you have any kind of questions, what it is that I can help you with. Good luck, and I miss you guys a whole lot. So remember, I do a Zoom every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock. Join me, we can catch up, hang out. But y'all take it easy. Y'all stay safe.